This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All of a sudden, it's Monster Cast time. Greg in Dallas, Texas at the network mothership. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad. That's correct. It just crept right up on us.
All of a sudden, Greg says to me, 10 seconds. Good heavens. So here we are. Let's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And, of course, today we're sitting in the Kahr Firearms Group studios in front of this powerful CZ Platinum microphone. Every minute of it brought to you every single day, 6 days a week, by the National Rifle Association here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Greg, we are live on all of our platforms today, including hundreds of radio stations around the nation. And you can watch us, ladies and gentlemen, at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Greg, you can take it from there. And we'll go to our guest for the hour, Kahr Edwards from Kahr Arms and Kahr Company. He's here with us for the hour. Fun stuff.
All right, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.com or .org. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, and that will do it. Kahr Edwards, BearingArms.com, Kahr Company. There's no reason to diddle around. Let's just jump right in. The water's warm. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Mark. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, and I appreciate you jumping on the show with us for an hour today. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, we've got Kahr for this hour. Next hour, we've got Quang Nguyen coming in, Arizona House Judiciary Chair, Arizona State House, and Ryan Petty coming in for the bottom half, Parkland Father, and then a classic roundtable with the boys, Brad, Ryan, and Justin Moon. So there you have it, Kahr. Boy, first of all, did you make it home from the No Kings protest okay, Kahr? Everything safe?
Yeah, I managed to avoid that. I don't think they had one in Farmville, Virginia. At least not that I saw.
I'm surprised. Yeah, they had a couple of them around my neck of the woods, but, I'll be honest with you, relatively violence-free, but it has been really fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch the left go crazy. They think because they can bring all the goofballs out that they're making this huge, bold statement. And I would say, yeah, it looked like a pretty small Trump rally to me.
I mean, listen, we'll see what happens at the voting booth, right? Because that's the protest that matters, I guess. So yeah. We've got midterm elections or off-year elections in Virginia coming up next month in just a few weeks. Actually, early voting's already started. And, I'll be honest with you, Mark, I am a little concerned about where things are going in Virginia.
Let's talk about it.
It looks to be actually really competitive, but Virginia, I'm getting a little scared.
Virginia's weird with the off-year elections that you guys have. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where Jay Jones, from what I understand, he's down about 5% in the polls right now. Is that holding?
From what I can tell, yeah, it looks like the controversy over his text messages where he talked about wanting the children of Todd Gilbert to die, where he talked about putting 2 bullets in Todd Gilbert's head. He was the Republican Speaker of the House at the time. That seems to be sticking to Jay Jones, thankfully. I'm glad to see that, right? But it doesn't seem to be doing a lot of harm to Abigail Spanberger's campaign. She's a Democrat that's running for governor. I'm blanking on the lieutenant governor's name, way far left, socialist Democrat. They seem to be doing okay, too. But the attorney general's race, yeah, I got to say that I think Jason Miyares, the Republican incumbent, I think he's gone from being the underdog to probably the odds-on favorite at this point.
I think he pulls it out. That's my guess that's my prediction. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm concerned about it, too, and I'm not ready to say the same thing about Winsome Sears. Although, that's your pick for governor. And at this point, how is Spanberger in the polls right now? I haven't seen any later updates. It was close, and then she started to pull away a little bit. And she is surviving this Jay Jones fiasco, and Winsome Sears just cleaned her clock in the debate. But it doesn't seem to be impacting her at this point yet.
Not yet. I'm looking here at the latest Virginia polls, and unfortunately, Spanberger has been polling. I think the last poll actually was a Trafalgar Inside Advantage poll that had Spanberger up by just 3, which is good news.
Yep.
That same poll had Miyares up by 5. But I got to say, that's kind of an outlier, right? Besides the Trafalgar poll, and Trafalgar's a Republican polling outfit, you've got Spanberger by 9, Spanberger by 4, Spanberger by 10. So, whether it's a big lead or a small lead, she's leading in all of these polls. And I guess the Real Clear Politics average has her right now at 50.3%. Winston Rural Sears at 43.8%. So that's a lead outside of the margin of error, unfortunately. And,
Real Clear Politics is outside the margin of error. The 2 individual polls are within the margin of error at the 3 and 5%. And that's the same with Jones, too. And I'm not big on polls. We know how polls really don't mean anything. But when you get this close to the race, you have no other option but to start looking at these to gauge what's happening. And voters are doing the same thing.
Yeah, and listen, I will say that, if you care about yard sign enthusiasm, I have seen a lot more Winston Rural Sears signs, maybe Jason Miyares signs for the Republican ticket. And granted, I live in a conservative part of Virginia. You'd expect that. But I'm not seeing hardly any Spanberger signs where I live. So I think that the rural turnout, and that's going to be key if Winston Rural Sears is going to win, she's got to replicate what Glenn Youngkin did 4 years ago, right, which was turn out 75% of the rural vote for him. You got to really sweep rural Virginia, and you got to put up big numbers. You got to have big turnout in rural Virginia in order to counter, the D.C. suburbs, the city of Richmond, city of Virginia Beach. If Winston Rural Sears can do that, and she could eke out a win, just like we saw Glenn Youngkin did 4 years ago. In fact, the whole Republican ticket. But I got to tell you, Mark, one of the things that's confounding to me is that Abigail Spanberger, listen, she's running on a gun ban. She's running on a magazine ban. She's endorsed by Everytown. I have not seen that mentioned in a single Sears campaign commercial throughout the entirety of this campaign. I don't know why she's not talking to rural Virginians more about the threat to their Second Amendment rights.
In her last election, she ran hardcore on gun rights. Hardcore.
She absolutely did. And think about what happened the last time Democrats had a trifecta in state government in Virginia, right? That was 2020. That was the year that we saw, 50,000 people show up in downtown Richmond for the Virginia Citizens Defense League's Lobby Day rally. I was there. I was speaking. And it gave me chills, So, but again, they showed up after the polls had closed. They showed up after the votes had been counted and after Democrats took complete control of state government. I don't want to see that happen again, where we show up when it's late. Yeah. We've got to show up on Election Day if we're going to, because otherwise, I'll tell you what, Democrats, they passed a gun ban bill this year. They passed over 24 gun control bills that were vetoed by Glenn Youngkin. Those all get signed by Abigail Spanberger if she becomes governor. And Virginia all of a sudden starts looking like New Jersey, starts looking like California, instead of, a state with decent gun laws on the books.
Here's what I'm hoping. And, my affinity for Virginia. I have my sister still lives up there. I graduated college there. I lived all over the place. Lived in Richmond, Midlothian, a couple places, Reston, Herndon, and Virginia Beach. I love Virginia. I do. I have deep roots in Virginia to this day. And I hate to see what's happened to that state. I can't really call it purple. I can't really call it blue. I can't really call it red. I don't really know what Virginia is at this point. But I'm hopeful that folks in these polls just still, because of the pressure in a state like that, just don't want to say they're voting for Trump. I hate to look at the yard sign deal because I had the same effect that you have here. You didn't see a Biden sign anywhere in Georgia, and Biden somehow pulled it out. Well, there's 18 million votes that never showed back up again in the next election, but that's a whole different topic for another show. But the fact of the matter is that when I am just not sure, I'm not positive that what we're seeing in the polls is reflective of what's really happening in the street. I'm just not. I mean, Donald Trump is doing everything that he said he was going to do, and I know there's a lot of Virginians that are very happy about that. The left is angry right now. There's a lot of lefties up in Northern Virginia. Question, is there enough of us in rural Virginia, like you're talking about, and gun owners, that's you. If you're listening in Virginia, that's you. You need to get your butts out and vote. It's that simple. I'll give you the last 20 seconds to the music.
Well, I mean, listen, Donald Trump lost Virginia twice. So Glenn Youngkin, won 4 years ago in an off-year election. If it's a high turnout election across the board, I think Spanberger wins, unfortunately, because of the animosity towards Trump in Northern Virginia. So that's one of the notes of caution that I would give. But again, I'm not writing anything off until Election Day, and I think that Winston Earl-Sears simply needs to start talking more about the threat to our Second Amendment rights. She's not doing it yet.
That's interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com, and Cam and Company. He just brings out the best in all of us whenever he's a guest on the show. We love it. We've got him for 3 more segments for the hour. Don't go away. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast on hundreds of stations around the nation and all of our social media platforms continues right after the break. Yes, Scott in the chat, he said tats, baby. Wash your glasses, bro. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. You know, guys, you should really do that if you haven't done that yet. We'll let that music come down just a tad bit. There we go. Yeah, and you know, guys, if you haven't done that yet, you really need to, and many, 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 many of you have, and we thank you for that. When you listen to this conversation Cam and I are having about Virginia and what's going on there, and I do have one more question for Cam about Virginia regarding the state house makeup when we get back to him in just a second. But I got to get you off the fence here, guys. If you are considering joining the NRA and you haven't done it yet, please do. If you live in Virginia, it's an absolute necessity. Please, please, please help us. You've got to get in this fight, and the easiest way to do it for $35 annual membership, 1 year. Rather see you go 3, 5, or life, whatever you want to do. I did 5. You can do whatever you want to do. It's $35. That's down $10. It's normally $45. It's $35 for an annual membership, and you get the free range bag at 1 year, 3 year, join or renew. New membership or renewal, send you the range bag. 5 year or life membership, get you the binoculars. And I just answered some questions on Facebook messages. I apologize if you wrote, and I'm just now getting caught up. Takes a couple, 3, 4 weeks to get the range bag because they got to get you in that lineup. But nonetheless, you will get it, and you'll get all your cool stuff. And most important thing is you're in the fight, okay? NRA.org/AAR, NRA.org/AAR. And guess what? They support this program. This show is presented by the NRA every day. So support them for supporting us. Say thank you and get in the fight. Jump in the pool. The water's warm. We need you. NRA.org/AAR. All of our great partners. We'll talk about more of them throughout the show. Can all be found at armedamericanradio.com. Cam Edwards, welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me, brother. Real quick question. State House makeup before we move on. Where are we in the State House right now? Let's assume, for the sake of argument, Spanberger wins this election. Sadly, it's probably likely, even slightly, it's probably likely. What happens to the State House now in this off-year election? What's the makeup, and what's the danger?
Well, so right now, Democrats have I believe it's like a 3 or 4 seat majority. Only the General Assembly, so only the lower chamber is up for re-election this year. There are several uncontested seats, all of which are held by Democrats. So this is another frustrating thing for me as a conservative. Like, well, some of these are 80-20, deep blue districts. So maybe it doesn't make sense to run a Republican and spend money there. But I sure want to see Republicans contesting as many races as possible when they're trying to take back the House, right? I mean, I think you've got to do that. So one of the problems we have in Virginia is the same trouble we've got really around the country, is that there just aren't a lot of true swing districts anymore. There are a lot of safe seats for Republicans, a lot of safe seats for Democrats, and really only a handful of districts in, let's say, the Richmond suburbs, up kind of the D.C. exurbs, where Republicans can, hopefully make a play. So it's going to be an uphill fight to take back the House. I mean, it can be done. Again, we had the House as recently as a couple of cycles ago. But it's going to take that turnout, and it's going to take turnout now, not just in rural Virginia, but now you got to get into the suburbs, right? And again, I think this is an area where Spanberger, unfortunately, she's talking about gun control. She's talking to those soccer moms, the Everytown moms, right? And this is where I'm just not seeing the Sears campaign really be aggressive about voter outreach to gun owners, to Second Amendment supporters, and to warn them what is coming as Spanberger gets in office and the Democrats keep control of the state legislature.
Yeah, that's rough to hear. But, interesting. Yeah, you bring up there's not a lot. These districts are now safe, and there's a reason for that. As the political divide and the polarization in the country continues to deepen, and it is, there's it's just the way it is. Blue is going to remain blue. Red is going to remain red. You're not going to see a lot of that swing anymore, as you pointed out. Interestingly, one of the outliers there might be New York City. If Sluwa gets out of the race in New York City and does the right thing, and he does at this point, he needs to get out, because Cuomo is now vying for Republican votes to keep a commie out, and that's the third. That's the third rail. There is this guy's a communist, so Cuomo will pull Republicans if Sluwa gets out of the race because they don't want a commie. Those are their only two options. And but you don't see that. You don't have that third rail everywhere else, like you do now. I would go as far as saying as all Dems are commies, all right. But this guy is an admitted commie, He's trying to run from it, but he's an admitted commie. So that's a weird position to be in. But yeah, that does bring it right back to turnout. That brings it back to gun owners, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in any of those districts, the turnout is key. You can't sit this out. You just cannot sit this out in American politics anymore. You can't. It's that simple. All right. Golly. Well, fingers are crossed. We're going to talk to you as we get closer to and then after the election for sure when we know the results. Very disturbing story. Anna, you're a board member with me at the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. You're aware of the press releases that went out from Second Amendment Foundation. But the Second Amendment Foundation has stepped in after, and you wrote the piece, and it's fantastic. Let's spend some time on this. After a high schooler's vehicle was searched for a gun in New Hampshire. Now, 18 years old, lawful gun owner in the state of New Hampshire, now suing officials. This is an SAF case now in his local school district, including the superintendent and principal of his high school, alleging, and I'm quoting from your piece at Bearing Arms, if you want to read it, ladies and gentlemen, that he was, quote, singled out for a coercive interrogation without his parents or an attorney present earlier this year, where officials demanded they be allowed to search his vehicle for weapons based solely on the fact that he's a lawful gun owner. Cam, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, listen, you kind of explained it well, but this is as outrageous as it sounds. You've got an 18-year-old high school student, so he is a legal adult, and in the state of New Hampshire, he can legally own a firearm. And apparently he was talking with some friends on a bus, and he was talking about how he had been pulled over not that long ago, and, how he had to tell the police officer, hey, I have my firearm on me. Said it was a non-issue. He said he was nervous, but ultimately, he was relieved. It wasn't a big deal. But, somehow this gets back to the school administrators that, oh, my God, this kid had a gun in his car. Maybe he has a gun in his car right now, right? And so they jump to conclusions. They pull him out of class. The lawsuit talks about a very, coercive interrogation, right? You're going to let us search your car, right? He keeps saying, no, you're not going to search my car. I don't have a firearm with me. I never take a gun to school. And was basically told, we're searching this one way or the other. He ends up calling his parents. His parents say, you're not searching the car. They get off the phone. In between the time the parents hang up and the dad gets to school, which is just a couple of miles away, they take the student out to the parking lot. They jimmy the lock. He didn't give them the keys. They search the vehicle, and lo and behold, they don't find a gun because there's no gun there. The kid was telling the truth. So he is suing over a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. And listen, I'm not an attorney, Mark, but this sounds like a 30 dunk.
Yeah,
and again,
it does.
The only reason that this kid was singled out is because he was a gun owner. There was no indication, there was no evidence that he had brought a gun onto campus, none whatsoever. Just the fact that he was a gun owner was enough for the school to flip out and demand to search his vehicle.
Yeah, when we come back from the break, Cam, I'm going to go back to your piece and quote a little bit more, because I was going to say techniques, that they're school administrators, their tactics, how they went about this with the kids' parents on the phone and all, is incredibly disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to miss this. We're going to continue the conversation with the great Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com, and Cam and Company. Enjoy your break. Give us just a few minutes. We'll be right back on the flip side with Cam Edwards. Don't go away.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios continues on a few hundred radio stations around the nation and all of our social media outlets. Hope you're enjoying the show today as much as we enjoy bringing it to you every single week. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Join them, please. And all of our great partners at Armed American Radio. That includes Heaven's Harvest and Goat Guns. I got a whole bunch of goat guns yesterday, Greg. About about 9. I didn't even get a chance to count them in the box, but I got a bunch of them, and I don't even know what's in there. It was a surprise package. So I can't wait to get in there. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I'll be putting goat guns together for a while. They're a tremendous amount of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Feed your need for your goat guns at goatguns.com, goatguns.com. And if you need any emergency food supplies, heavensharvest.com, heavensharvest.com. Just tell them AAR sent you, and I'll tell you, they're great guys. Clayton Llewellyn and the family over there, they've got great supplies over there. We've got tons of that food here at the house. They've got the ready to cook in the bag, the whole 9 yards. Heat, no water necessary, no nothing. Takes about, well, yeah, a little bit of water, I think, in the bottom, but it takes like 15 minutes to heat these meals in the bag. They're great. Everything from 72-hour kits to full supplies for 1, 2, 3 years on up. And don't forget your Bud's Gun Shop. Anything you need for your firearms, Bud's Gun Shop has. And you can find them at budsgunshop.com. We'll be broadcasting live from Lexington, Kentucky in the next few weeks. I'll keep you posted on that. It's always a lot of fun when we're up there. You never know who's going to pop in. budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Cam Edwards, Bearing Arms, and Cam and Company, welcome back, brother. It's always a pleasure. So I want to read a little bit about this. You give some great detail here, and it is, I mean, my heart went out to this kid who finds himself, yes, he's a legal adult, he's still in school, and he's being harassed. Ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to this. While still under withering harassment from the interrogators, Jack called his parents and asked them, what should I do? He also informed them that the interrogators could hear all of the details of their telephone conversation since they were still in the room with Jack, and the call was on a speakerphone. Jack then informed his parents multiple times that the interrogators keep saying, quoting, keep saying they have to search my truck, they have no choice, and that the interrogators won't leave me alone, confirming the level of his distress. While on the speakerphone and audible to the interrogators, Thomas and Betsy calmly confirmed that neither Jack nor they would consent to a search of the vehicle, his parents. Even after an audibly distressed Jack informed his parents that the interrogators were telling him that, quote, I have to let them search my truck, and the superintendent, Crawford, had ordered a search. So just paraphrasing what happened next, after a lengthy high-stress interrogation by multiple administrators and a school resource officer, he refused repeatedly to consent to a search, and that's when, according to what you've written here, became clear to him that the interrogators were going to search the vehicle no matter what he did. And they later went on to call this illegal search when they realized there was constitutional issues, when they got called out on this after the fact, Cam. They said, well, it really isn't a search. We just viewed his vehicle. Let me go back to what you said in the previous segment. They broke into his car. He didn't give them the keys. He still had the keys in the pocket. They broke his lock to get into his car. Please. How does...
Yeah, it was, they were just viewing this, right?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, again, it is absolutely insane. And they claim, too, that he gave consent because at one point, after he had been interrogated, he said, so you're just going to search it anyway, kind of like that, just kind of resigned. That wasn't giving permission. Right. That was basically just okay, no matter what I'm saying, you keep saying you're going to search it anyway. Aha, he just told us we can search it, And this is some Keystone Cop stuff, honestly. And, the sad thing is, from all accounts, this student, Jack Harrington, who has graduated now, he graduated back in June, I believe it was. Good kid, right? Good student. There was no reason for the school to treat him like he was a criminal. There was no student had gone up to the school superintendent, the school principal, and said, hey, Jack's got a gun in his truck. Nothing like that. This was basically a game of telephone where a conversation that had taken place a couple weeks earlier gets back to school administrators. They flip out because an 18-year-old student is a gun owner, and they think, well, my God, maybe he's got that gun. Maybe he's got that gun on campus, so let's go check his car. It is extraordinary. And, again, I mean, honestly, Mark, I hope they end up renaming the school district after this kid
Oh,
because the damage is so much. I mean,
don't you know it?
like,
Don't you know it? Listen, I got to go to you've guys in the audience, most of us listening to the show, and I'm sure Cam has seen it. I know I have countless times, and that's really because I'm a big Marissa Tomei fan. But I'm going to my cousin Vinny when he said, "So you're just going to search it anyway," is akin to the kid in the movie saying, "I shot the clerk," in asking the question, but saying, "I shot the clerk, I shot the clerk, I shot the clerk," which they use as an admission of guilt in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to this. I couldn't help but think about that when I read your words. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Second Amendment Foundation has stepped up to the plate. And I like this case. We don't see a lot of this. And I think there's a statement being made here by the fact that the SAF is involved, no doubt pulls a lot of weight in New Hampshire, and it should very much concern those on the other side of the case. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look it up, the case is Harrington v. Crawford, which of course is stemming from the search of the Hillsborough Daring High School student Jack Harrington's vehicle while it was parked on school grounds, simply because he had told other students that he was a lawful gun owner, had a gun in his truck when he was pulled over, and it made him nervous. That's what he said. And here's what Director of Legal Operations Bill Sack, who we both know, said: "Being public about exercising your private rights cannot be grounds for being harassed and searched on campus. The apparent position of the school district here is choose to exercise one right, give away another. That's just not how it works. It's simply being a gun owner is legal justification to be harassed and searched by authorities. What would stop them from submitting gun owners like Jack to searches every day? And what's their proposed solution to avoid that abuse, that he sells his privately owned firearm?" This raises a lot of questions. And here's what Alan Gottlieb had to say. "This case is about as cut and dry as it gets when it comes to infringing on the rights of a citizen, and we look forward to vindicating Jack's rights in court." Cam, I feel good about this, and this is one I can't wait to watch, to play out.
I feel really good about it too. I mean, I don't feel good about what happened to Jack Harrington,
Right.
obviously, but I feel really good that justice is going to be done here when this case gets resolved. I mean, honestly, we'll see if this goes to trial. I would not be surprised if the school district tries to offer some sort of settlement. But, you know, again, Jack's graduated, right? So they can't, I don't know what they can do other than admit wrongdoing. And, I mean, how many times have we seen settlements where, you know, they'll pay some money, but they refuse to acknowledge that what they did was wrong? I think they need to acknowledge what they did was wrong. I think they need to say, we're not going to do this to any student going forward. That you know, we will not just search somebody's car because they're exercising their Second Amendment rights at other points in time, right? And if they're not willing to say that, if they're not willing to do that, then that's a problem in and of itself. You know, listen, I mean, this is a situation that I won't say it's going to be all that common,
Right.
but there are a lot of 18-year-olds who are still in high school. And they, in many states, are old enough. In fact, in the vast majority of states, they're old enough to exercise their right to keep and bear arms as a legal adult. So this is something that could come up in the future, and I hope that this is a case that ultimately we're not just paying attention to, but that, you know, public school administrators are paying attention to, because they need to get on the right side of this issue, and they need to understand that an 18-year-old student talking about his firearm, that's not a crime. That's not evidence of a crime. That's not suspicion of a crime. That's an adult talking about exercising their fundamental civil right. And frankly, that should be applauded. It shouldn't be seen with suspicion.
Yeah, and the SAF is the heavyweight in the ring in this one, guys. Okay? The SAF brings many, many years and many, many victories and a lot of money behind it to right this wrong. And the big question here is, obviously there are other 18-year-olds that are gun owners that go to that school. What is to stop them from searching every one of them every single day if the SAF doesn't help put the hammer down on this? When we come back, you wrote about Snopes taking on claims that Bondi is creating a registry of gun owners. That was a sticky issue over the past couple weeks. We're going to get into it with Cam Edwards. One more segment in the first hour. Enjoy your quick break. We'll be back with Cam Edwards, BearingArms.com, and Cam & Company right after this. Perfect timing on this sugar-free Red Bull. I'm just about to knock it out. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Attorneys on Retainer is the real deal, and they've got a video out on their website. I want you to go check it out at attorneysonretainer.us, and check out their YouTube channel if you don't already. Subscribe to it. A very, very disturbing case of an individual outside Prescott, Arizona, who brandished a firearm in self-defense because he was being accosted by a much larger male at a convenience store. It was all caught on videotape. And Attorneys on Retainer is on this case right now. And this man was, the reason he's being hassled is the guy that made the complaint that he had the firearm and used the firearm in a way that didn't happen winds up being the fire chief of this small town. And they took his word for everything and almost just ignored the videotapes. Attorneys on Retainer is on this case. And I'm going to tell you right now, with everything coming out, it's likely the guy's going to walk. And he should. And he wouldn't even stand a chance if it wasn't for Attorneys on Retainer. If you ever find yourself in a situation where something like this occurs and you don't have an attorney in your back pocket when you could have, that's on you. That's you being negligent. The opportunity is there. It is $35 a month to have the card I'm holding up on camera right now. It's an Attorneys on Retainer card. Look at it as a size of a driver's license credit card. Plastic, nice card, real deal. You find yourself in this situation, you're going to be investigated. You could be charged. This kid's looking at multiple felonies now for simply brandishing a gun to get somebody away from him who was accosting him and entering his vehicle. But because he has high standings in the community, and this guy's got Attorneys on Retainer. Go check it out at attorneysonretainer.us, and you can use the promo code AAR, and you're going to get $50 off the sign-up. You can put that card in your wallet, and God forbid the worst day of your life occurs. Guess what? You've got a lawyer immediately that you can call instantly with attorney-client privilege and let them do the work. And it's $35 a month, and you don't have to worry about spending anything else ever, no matter what occurs. Think about that. That is an absolute no-brainer. No-brainer. AttorneysOnRetainer.us, promo code AAR. Welcome back, guys, to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. One more segment here, all brought to you by the National Rifle Association and all of our great partners. CZ microphone lit up for you at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Cam Edwards, welcome back, my friend. Let's dive into this with the last 5 minutes we have on air. You know, the claim out there that Alan Gottlieb debunked on the show, you and I talked about it on Cam and Company, that Bondi and the DOJ in the Reese case were looking for a gun registry, and they were asking the government for the Second Amendment Foundation's list. I can tell you firsthand, as you know, the Second Amendment Foundation and Alan Gottlieb know the DOJ personally. Alan debunked it. Why is it an issue? Why did Snopes even get involved? Why is it still out there? Because it's not true.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And it wasn't just because, Snopes typically doesn't do a lot of gun-related stuff. So when I saw that they were weighing in on this, I thought, oh, boy, let's see. And they actually did a decent job of explaining,
they did.
What was going on, that it was the judge, not the DOJ, who told the Second Amendment groups, including the Second Amendment Foundation, turn over a list of your members to the government. They did get one thing wrong. They said that the judge told these groups to give an outdated list. That's not the case. The judge said, we give them a list, give the DOJ a list of your members as of the time this lawsuit was filed, but they would still have to be active members in order to have injunctive relief, right? So it wasn't just that they were asking or that the judge was demanding these groups hand over an outdated list. No. The judge was demanding they hand over a list of current members, too. Thankfully, again, the DOJ and the plaintiffs in this case both asked the judge to reconsider. The judge has put a halt to his order. We'll see what the scope of the new order looks like. This was – listen, we can complain about the DOJ wanting to limit injunctive relief only to, SAF, FPC, Louisiana Shooting Association members who were members at the time this lawsuit was filed 5 years ago, because you're talking about people who are 13 years old. as opposed to people who are, now 18, 19, and 20 and may have joined these organizations in the last year or two. The DOJ really is trying to keep this injunction as narrow as possible, even though a Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has said, hey, this law is unconstitutional. And we can take issue with that. But let's take issue with the facts, not with fiction. And it is a fiction to say that the DOJ was demanding that these groups hand over a list of its members.
And when it's coming from pro-gun groups, who I'm not going to pick on, it's pretty much a moot point at this point. Gottlieb went as far as saying that they owe gun owners and the DOJ an apology. I'll let that stand. That's what Alan said on the program last week. He stands by his words. But there's something else involved here too, and the reason that the DOJ is trying to limit this is because they're suing on these injunctions, nationwide injunctions, right? So this time it kind of comes back to bite us, right? It is kind of a double-edged sword. The DOJ is sick, or not just the DOJ, but the Trump administration is sick and tired of local district judges, for example, issuing nationwide injunctions. They're trying to stop that for obvious reasons. Well, same case here, right? We'd like to see this a nationwide injunction. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Right, Cam?
I mean, I guess.
I only want to know how to ask it.
Listen, yeah, I mean, DOJ could have said, listen, this applies to, everybody in the Fifth Circuit, not just a nationwide injunction. There's some middle ground to be found here. But you're right. This is the DOJ's position, right, is that they want these lawsuits, particularly filed by organizations, not just Second Amendment organizations, but organizations. When those organizations win, they want that injunctive relief to be as narrow as possible. They don't want it to apply nationwide. They want it to apply only to those members who are impacted, and not even to, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds throughout the Fifth Circuit in this case, regardless of whether or not they're a member of these organizations. And, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess. Again, I've got my issue with that because we are talking about a law that's been deemed unconstitutional, the decision that the DOJ did not appeal, right? So the DOJ apparently has taken the Fifth Circuit at its word that this is an unconstitutional law. So to me, the right thing to do, regardless of the strategy and tactics that the DOJ is playing in these other cases, when you're talking about a law that's been deemed unconstitutional and you're not appealing that decision, let's let that decision apply to as many people as possible so they can exercise their constitutional rights.
Yeah, we have issues. We talked about a couple cases before. There are other cases that we have issues with the way the DOJ is handling that, and we'll talk about that on future shows. We're going to run out of time here in a minute. So with the last few seconds that we have left, what do you got? What are you working on this week? Anything fun?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking with Knox Williams from the American Suppressor Association on Cam and Company tomorrow. And then Tuesday, we're talking with the head of a Virgin Islands gun owners group, Tosi Ono, about this massive gun ban bill that is in the Virgin Islands legislature. Apparently, they're supposed to be hearing last week. They ended up delaying it. Apparently, the bill is being rewritten. I don't know that it's going to be acceptable to gun owners after it's been rewritten, but we're going to talk with Mr. Ono on Tuesday about that. So we're keeping our eyes open for everything that's going on the legislative side of things, the litigation side of things, and the regulation side, plus the culture war stuff too. So I'd encourage folks to check out BearingArms.com and Bearing Arms Cam and Company.
You better believe. What'd you say his name was? Toasty Ono?
Tosei Ono.
Tosei Ono. I love that name regardless. Yeah, I won't mispronounce it. Tosei Ono. I love that. Like the way that rolls.
But he's making things toasty for the anti-gunners in the Virgin Islands.
Hopefully he makes things tasty for gun owners in the Virgin Islands. Cam, we love you for all the obvious reasons. Cam and Company, Cam Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check him out at Bearing Arms. And Bearing Arms, of course,
20.
Cam and Company. We love Cam, and now you know why. When we come back, we're going to have a fun hour coming up because it looks like Ryan Petty is going to be in the studio with Greg today, unexpectedly so.
10.
That'll be fun. We'll be back 6 minutes after on the flip side. Don't go away.
is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. Hour 2 begins right now. If you are just joining us, welcome in. If you are rejoining us, welcome back. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing?
Pretty good. Here we are, hour 2.
Hour 2 on a roll. Second sugar-free Red Bull going. First one didn't have much impact, so I'm going to work on that for the second hour.
You're going to regret that later, I think.
No, yeah, I'll probably. I just won't do it in the third hour, and I'll use you as a reminder. But no, that's okay. I don't have any more, so that's good.
All right.
Yeah. Kahr Firearms Group Studios lit up for you, ladies and gentlemen. All brought to you by the National Rifle Association, of course, the great NRA. And the CZ Mike lit up. Patriot Mobile Ranch. The real deal. We're having a great time today. Have a lot to talk with you about today. Greg, I'll let you do your spewel, and then I got to give a shout-out to a rock star that I neglected to do on Friday's broadcast, but we'll do that when we come back.
All right, sure. Yeah, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over at X, you can find us at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, Facebook.com, too, by the way, at Armed American Radio. I think I forgot to mention that. I neglected to do this on Friday. Ace Frehley died last week, lead guitarist for Kiss.
Yeah.
Original founding member. Did you ever see the movie Detroit Rock City, the comedy about the kids doing everything they can to go to the Kiss concert? I lived that. I could have been in that movie. I actually lived that experience. I had tickets when I was a kid. I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I had tickets to go see Kiss at Cobo Hall in 1976, January 26th. Now, you know what the weather's like in central Michigan at the end of January? I'm
sure it's nice and chilly.
And a lot of snow. There was 8 inches of snow on the ground and continuing to come down. And I was scheduled, I'm going to give him a shout out by name just because I can. But I was going with a friend of mine. We're a lifelong friend. He and I are still friends. He lives out Lake Havasu in Arizona right now. And his name was Gary Kellner. And he and I had tickets. His mom called my mom and said, I'm not letting Gary go in the snow. And a friend of mine, Dave Troggett, and his mom were going to pick us up and drive us to the concert. And we weren't stopping. Snow doesn't stop people in Michigan from driving, you know. And Gary's mom called my mom, and they just agreed. My mom said, no, I'm not letting you go. I said, fine, then I'm going to go spend the night at Gary's. Now, my mom, I can say this all these years later, was foolish enough to believe me and let me go walk over to Gary's house, where Dave and his mom promptly picked me up and took me to the concert in Detroit. They didn't know about that until years later when I told them about it. So I admit on national radio that I lied to my parents to go to this concert. Nothing was going to stop me. And I wound up being at their triumphant return concert when they were given their platinum albums for their Kiss Alive album, which was recorded the year before. And so, you know, when I heard Ace died, I was really sad about that. And he played here locally about 7 months ago, and he played on Sunday, and I couldn't make it to the concert. And I was ready to spend $1,500 and take one of my Les Pauls to have him sign it. And it was either that or the radio show. And as you know, we've never missed a Sunday show in 17 years, and I didn't go. And now I'm kind of regretting that a little bit. So a big shout out to Ace Frehley, who, you know, played a major role in my life. I didn't know him, but I grew up listening to their music like anybody my age did. So it was sad to hear that. He fell down in his house and had a brain bleed.
Oh, no.
At 74 years old, and a month later it killed him. You'd think with everything he had gone through that, you know, these guys are amazing, like Richard's still swinging from the trees, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, it was something crazy like that. So just a shout out. We'll go ahead and dedicate this hour to Ace Frehley from Kiss. I mean, think Shock Me, right? Great guitarist. I enjoyed listening to him. Anyway, so having got that out of my system, let's go over to Quang Nguyen, Arizona State House and Arizona State House Chairman of the Judiciary. Quang, how the heck are you, brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad you could call in today. I know you're in the car. We got a good connection with you. Did you happen to see, Quang, this threat to Trump that's breaking today Have you seen the latest thread? I asked Greg about it during the break, and he had not heard about it yet, so we're going to go there briefly.
No, I haven't. What's going on? I've been away from the house for about a week. I was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for the leadership program. And then I went to see my son on Saturday, Sunday, and now I'm just getting home.
Well, good for you. Did you get to the battlefield at all, or did you have time?
Yes, I actually walked the entire picket charge.
Yeah, along that tree line. Isn't that something?
Yeah, so there are about 25 to 30 legislators across the nation attending the program, and I was asked to pick up to be the color bearer, the first one. And I survived for the first 100 yards, and I was down, immediately down, and the next person picked up the flag, and by the time we get to the, 100 yards away from the Union line, I think there were probably 6 flag bearers went down. So there you have it.
Yeah,
it's amazing to see the history of the United States.
And that is such a beautiful place. I'm a huge history buff there. That used to be a sales territory of mine, and I was out there every day for 3 years. A couple times a week when I was working for a trucking company, and Gettysburg was part of my territory. I became a huge history buff of that area, and it is a wonderful place. So I'm glad you got to see that. And yeah, those guys picking up those flags on both sides had guts galore, knowing that they were going to be, that they weren't going to make it. That really something to see. Well, so there's a threat detected. Fox is reporting this. I saw this on a number of outlets and a number of alerts today, but apparently a rifle hunting stand was found near Trump's landing zone.
Yes, I read that today. I read that this morning.
Yeah, so they have him at Andrews until they get this taken care of or find out what's going on. No individuals were located, but apparently it's in a nefarious location, and Trump is now boarding Air Force One very rapidly using the Biden stairs due to the increased security measures. So, look, I don't know. Is it a benign threat? Look, when you're talking about the President of the United States in today's polarized political world, you take every precaution necessary. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever know, but you can't let that slide. It definitely concerns me. I pray for Donald Trump and his safety every day simply because the American left is completely unhinged, and they've got another 3+ years to go. Lord knows what these people are capable of. We've already seen it. Imagine what they're capable of over the next 3 years of losing what's left of their marbles, Kwong. Scary stuff.
Mark, they're not going to stop trying, okay? So I don't have all the facts, but I sent it to a Marine friend of mine, and I told him, hey, this is not going to stop. They're not going to stop trying. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and repeat what I said months ago when a month ago when Charlie Kirk got shot, is that we have all the guns and they have all the shooters.
Well,
Simple as that.
Yeah, that's something to chew on, right? I hadn't heard it phrased that way. But the violent rhetoric is continuing across the country. You're seeing what's going on in Virginia. Democrat silence on some of this violent rhetoric is akin to supportive of the violent rhetoric. It's the only thing you can read into it. They're ready to elect a commie in New York City. It's very scary stuff. It's a fascinating time to be alive, but it's very frightening. Kwon, go ahead.
Yeah, and I am kind of enjoying the up-and-coming session here in 2026. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be looking at another 30 to 40 anti-gun bills sitting on my desk. These guys aren't going to try. So I did get a question from a friend yesterday. Kwong, no one is taking away your guns. Why are you so worried? Well, no one is taking away my guns because I'm working my ass off to make sure these anti-gun bills don't get heard. And that's the reason why I still have my.
Yeah, well, you're right. The reason they're not taking it away is because guys like you in the legislative bodies are fighting for it not to happen. I had a relative who's one of the left. He's lost his marbles like the rest of the left. Put a meme up the other day about Trump is coming for your guns. It wasn't a meme. He put a story up about the Bondi and the Reese case wanting a gun registry, and he titled it on his social media post, "Trump is coming for your guns." And it couldn't be further from the truth. I schooled him on it. He didn't respond because he couldn't respond because it's a bogus post. But nonetheless, I mean, these guys, people who you would think would be, normal, intelligent, highly educated people, are just losing their minds. It is really something to see. I guess if you see all the lefties walking around in dinosaur garbage and nonsense with all the colored hair, holding up the goofy signs at the No Kings protest, just the fact they think Trump's a king is enough to let you know these people have lost their marbles. Kwong, when we come back, let's talk about that upcoming session in Arizona and the 30 to 40 bills you think are going to hit your desk, because I think you're wrong. And I'll tell you exactly why I think you're wrong when we come back after the break. We're talking with Kwong Win, the House Judiciary Chair in the great state of Arizona, and also, Arizona State Representative. He's the real deal. We call him the Shredder for a reason. We'll be back with the Shredder, Kwong Win, right after this.
following segment of Armed
And mics are
American
live.
Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast now on a roll. Segment 2 of the second hour. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you've been listening, welcome back. You're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me in front of the CZ powerful microphone at the Patriot Mobile Ranch, and it's all being brought to you by the great National Rifle Association. Won't you please join us? Get in this fight. Please, we need your help. It's $35 for 1-year membership, folks. That's $10 off for using the AAR promo code. Normally $45. It's $35 to join the National Rifle Association using the code AAR at nra.org/AAR. And they're putting up all kinds of new stuff so you get some higher quality photographs of the giveaways that we're doing. 1 to 3 year membership is going to get you the range bag, which I have down here on the floor, loaded with stuff, so I'm not going to hold it up for the cameras because it's pretty heavy. Got a bunch of ammo and guns in it and stuff. We've been spending a lot of time at the range with the family over the last few weeks, of course. Hopefully you are too. Stay well-trained and well-armed, guys. That's what you have to do. But we're going to give you that for a 1 to 3 year membership. We're going to give you the 10x42 binoculars if you sign up for a 5. Join or rejoin. Either way, it doesn't matter. For the NRA, 5-year or life membership is going to get you those binoculars. Join us, please. You know, if you don't want to donate anything after, that's fine. But get the cool magazine. America's First Freedom is what I always get. Been getting it for years. Great articles in there from a lot of our friends and a lot of people you hear on the show from time to time who write for the magazine. And you're a member of the NRA. Join us, nra.org/AAR. You can find them and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. Quang Nguyen, House Judiciary Chair, the great state of Arizona. Whoo, welcome in, brother. Now, I said before, as a bold statement, because I don't normally call you wrong. I agree with you on just about everything. In fact, I do agree with you about everything. But I think you're wrong on the anti-gunners here. There's not going to be 30 to 40 anti-gun bills. I think you're nuts. I think it's going to be 50, 60, or 70, Quang. Do we have you, brother? You want to try that one more time?
We can hear him, but...
Quang, have we got you? I know you're driving. I hope you're being safe.
Hey, I'm back. I'm back. I can hear you.
Okay, I just said that you were going to be, before we left for the break, I said you were going to be wrong on those bills, and I think you're going to be wrong, and you know me. I don't generally disagree with you ever, but I think you're wrong. It's not going to be 30 or 40 bills. It's going to be 50, 60, or 70 anti-gun bills, Quang. They're going to go nuts, brother. I think you're low. Looks like we're losing Quang there.
Yeah, I think we're having a phone issue.
Yeah, I think we're having a phone issue over there. Yeah, Quang is talking about, you know, it's 70 bills. There were 96 anti-gun bills in the Arizona State Legislature in the last session. 96 anti-gun bills in what is widely regarded as the single most pro-gun state in the country. Now, that's arguable. It's debatable. Very, very, very gun-friendly state. Certainly one of the top 3. No doubt about it. But Quang is predicting 30 to 40 bills. Last year was 96. 70 of them were shredded by Quang. The others didn't make it to the floor. Quang, I think you're wrong. I think it's going to be 50, 60, or 70 bills this year. Is my prediction wrong, or what do you think?
Oh, you know what? It's perplexing to think about that a group of people could actually come up with 60 bills, but you know, they certainly try, and I don't think you're going to be wrong. It's going to be right around that area. And why are they doing this? They're doing this to embarrass the House of Representatives, to embarrass me, to embarrass the Republican caucus, that we don't care about, you know, gun violence. And, you know, it's all about people violence, right? And if they don't have guns, they have hammers, they have machete, they have samurai swords. And so I don't think there's a lack of weapons to go out there to kill people. So it's all about people being evil enough to think about killing other people on a daily basis and then put it on the guns, put it on us law-abiding citizens. I hope you can hear me, Mark.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, and so, no, you might be right, and nothing surprises me anymore. It's very difficult to think that these people have any common sense at all, but they don't, and so they're constantly trying to go out and get our guns, and I'm going to be there for 3 years. I'm going to cause as much pain as I can for the next 3 years, and then hopefully we'll groom somebody behind me to come up and do the same thing for the next 10 years. But if we don't initiate the efforts to protect our gun rights, they're standing right there. They're ready to go at all times.
Yeah, and like Ryan Petty says, and you've heard him say it before, and he'll say it again tonight, no doubt, the left will never stop. The left will never stop. My question to you is, do they believe, because they have a Democrat governor, that there's even the slightest chance that one of these may squeak through for a signature from Hobbs? Do they believe that? Is that why they're, obviously throwing the spaghetti at the wall here with 70-some bills or whatever it is nonsense? Do they think that they have a chance, or is it just because of the reasons you just gave us?
Yeah, so basically there's always a reason to give a chance, right? So I was in Gettysburg, and I was talking to a Republican from, I believe, your state of Georgia. And so he said to me, and he said, do you ever negotiate with the Democrats to see if you can get one of your bills through by hearing one of theirs? And I said, I will wait for a Republican governor to get one of my bills through, but there's no way in hell that I would ever negotiate to get one of theirs across. So I will play the long game, but I'm not going to give up my ground or my foundation or my beliefs or my platform or the Republican platform to hear one of these stupid bills.
I'm not going to ask who that was. I probably should, because I was immediately leaned back in my chair on that, because that question itself reeks of compromise with an anti-gunner, that they would be willing to compromise using an anti-gun bill to advance something else that they might, I didn't even want to hear that, Kwong, being in Georgia.
Well, let me rephrase it. I think he was asking in a general question about Democrat bills. We were not talking about the Second Amendment. So he was asking me, as the chairman of Judiciary, would you ever consider negotiating with a Democrat or Democrats to hear one of their bills and see if you can get one of yours to the governor's desk? Well, the news is I got 11 on her desk, and she signed all of them. And these are hardcore bills. They're not Democrat, or they're not rhino bills, and they're not one of these softy bills. These are fentanyl trafficking. These are child sex trafficking. These are important bills. But it is important to negotiate, not negotiate, but to force her to sign the bill. Otherwise, it's going to look like you're the governor that's okay with fentanyl trafficking and fentanyl dealing. And
boy. Kwong, the mere fact that you would even have to compromise with a Democrat to get something like that signed is remarkable to me, and I hate to hear that. Listen, we love you. We're getting ready to end this segment. We appreciate you calling in. I know you've been traveling. Thank you for being here, Kwong, and taking time out on your ride home.
Love you, brother.
I love you, too. Please drive careful. I know you got a little bit ways to go. Thank you, Kwong Win, chairman of the House Judiciary. Oh, guys, the whole compromise thing at this point, I didn't want to hear that. Guns or not, you don't want to compromise with these people. Good heavens. When we come back, Ryan Petty in the studio with Greg. We'll be back right after this. All right, guys and dames, gals and guys. Ryan Petty is traveling, and I just got a photograph here for you in the chat. But Ryan landed in Dallas about an hour and a half ago and is sitting in the studio with our very own Greg. And this is going to be a lot of fun to do. This was unexpected. We thought he was going to be calling in when he got to the hotel. And lo and behold, there he is in the studios with us. So enjoy this half hour. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the first time Ryan's been to the studios at Salem Radio Network, which is kind of fun. Fun stuff. Yeah, there you go. Ryan in Greg's house. He just put in the chat for you. So it's the real deal. Kind of wish I was there with him right now. Makes me want to be in Dallas, Tejas.
We could get some Fratellis.
I was going to say two other reasons, too. In-N-Out and Fratellis, right? I'd have an In-N-Out and then go to Fratellis for In-N-Out for an appetizer. And then, no, maybe I'd go to In-N-Out. I think I'd go to In-N-Out. No, I'd go to Fratellis for the meal.
Yeah, you go to Fratellis.
I'd go to Fratellis for the meal. And then if I got any room left in me, I'm going to go to In-N-Out for a nightcap.
All right.
Or dessert. We'll call it dessert.
Some monster fries. Animal fries.
That and an Alka-Seltzer by the time I got back to the room. Well, welcome to the studios, Ryan. It's going to be a lot of fun having you on live from Dallas. That'll be cool. We need to get some cameras in there with Greg. If you see the picture in the chat, guys, Greg has, in fact, cut his beard. He has trimmed his beard.
Yeah, it's got a little trim.
I like it longer, dude. If you're going to go beard, man, go beard.
It gets pulled out. It gets pulled out at jiu-jitsu.
I got to tell you, I've been doing this a long time with you. It's getting grayer, brother.
That it is. It is.
Radio has nothing to do with that either, does it?
No, not at all.
It probably does, but it's not this show, that's for sure. Back at you, guys.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
And Ryan Petty. Welcome back, guys. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. We've got 2 more segments left. And we have a special guest in the studio in Dallas, Texas, sitting across from Greg, which is always fun to do. I've brought the show from the network on a number of occasions. And now I'm jealous because Ryan Petty, who flew into Dallas for some work-related issues, is now sitting in the studio with Greg in Dallas, Texas. And that was unexpected. We just kind of put that together during the last hour. Ryan Petty, welcome to the studios. Pretty cool, huh?
It's great to be here, Mark.
Man,
you sound like you're right here.
I am right there.
Imagine that.
Well, since we're doing the niceties, you sound like you're right here too, Ryan.
Oh, I am right here in Dallas, Texas.
Well, I'm in Georgia, and you're in Dallas, Texas, and Greg's there, and you're there with Greg and his beard and all that fun stuff. So, welcome in. Honestly, very cool. I guess he texted me during the previous hour and said, "Hey, I'm in Dallas. I should go do the show with Greg," because he was going to call in anyway. And that got put together quick. You were right around the corner. Dallas is a big city.
Dallas is a big city, but I'm in Grapevine, which is not too far away. And I was coming out of the hotel. I was going to head to get dinner, Tex-Mex. And I thought, I had to go see Greg. And you put it together. Made it happen.
The Tex-Mex is good in Texas. It's really good. All the authentic Mexican is good in Texas. But there's a Fratelli's, and I know the Tex-Mex is good, but I don't get In-N-Out, so I would do both, man. I was telling during the break to those that are watching, I would have had Fratelli's pizza and then capped it off with an In-N-Out burger for dessert if I had any room left, and I probably wouldn't have because I'd probably go into that whole Fratelli's pizza. It's good stuff. But Tex-Mex is good.
I'm just curious, though, since the chat has said this is my house, can this actually be my ranch?
Yeah, so we all 3 have ranches now. You've got a real Dallas ranch?
You have a ranch?
You have a ranch? Hold on a second.
He's not as grandiose as I am, though, is he?
I'm not quite as grandiose as you.
Oh, good heavens. Greg's got that stuff on the buttons at all times. Well, welcome in, Ryan. It's a pleasure, and I'm glad you're there. We'll have some fun because you're going to stick with us, of course, through the roundtable as well.
That's right.
So that's cool stuff. I'm surprised they let you in. You're a pretty scary-looking guy. I'm surprised you got through the security. If I was security, I said, who was that guy out there? Call the cops.
Oh,
He's trying to get in the Stay Home Radio Network studios.
they wanted to walk. They wanted to do a full body cavity search. I refused.
Yeah.
Ed's very serious at the door.
It's very serious. That's full body cavity search is pretty serious there, Ed. Be glad you didn't. I've met Ed before. Hey, speaking of great guests, guys, and you'll appreciate this too, Ryan. You guys don't know this yet, but I reached out to Dana Lash and her husband today, and we're going to be doing a taped interview with Dana. I was trying to get her on the program tonight, and very short notice, by the way, but we're going to be bringing Dana Lash on the program. We're going to work through her syndicator to schedule up a taping, and we'll use it for this program. We'll tape during the week, and we'll use that hour for the show. So we'll have Dana Lash coming up soon. That's going to be fun to do.
Yeah, Mark, on that note, Dana is a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
We met prior to Parkland. I think, you and I have talked about that story where she came into the Lion's Den there on that CNN
Boy, did
debacle.
she ever.
And I've got so much respect for her. And
Handled that well.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm going to try to have dinner with her and with Chris while we're out here in Dallas. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, do that, and make sure that you tell them I said hello. Again, I did that today, but nonetheless, that'll be good. And we might even want to bring you in on that. Yeah, because you guys go deep down there. And yeah, regarding that CNN deal, I don't know how she did that and handled that. She handled that. I mean, talk about a pro. I don't know that I could have stayed in my chair for that one, but she did, and did it in front of a large live audience, just getting hammered. Good heavens! And then here you are, Parkland Father, giving her the accolades. That means a lot. I know that for sure. So Ryan, you're in Texas, and can you tell us what you're doing there? Because you speak at events all over the place. Are you doing another school safety issue? I'm asking because I don't know the answer to that. I knew you were going to be there, but I wasn't sure why. Can you tell us?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Friday was I spoke at an event. We talked about school discipline for a group called Moms for Liberty. You've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic group that has just absolutely tried to take back our public schools from the left. They're doing God's work. Great group, and I'm an advisor to the board of Moms for Liberty. I know the two founders very well. Two great women that have absolutely just patriots and trying to get America's schools back on track. Wonderful group. So I went and spoke there. And let's see, Tuesday, I'm actually speaking to a group of security professionals about school safety. We're going to talk about emergency response specifically. So how do we reduce the amount of time it takes when things go bad, how do we reduce the time to get the good guys on scene and eliminate the threat? That's what we're going to be talking about on Tuesday.
We shouldn't have to get the good guys on scene. The good guys should already be on scene.
Absolutely.
All right.
But
Now, so
unfortunately, that's not the case in most of our schools, Mark, and you know that.
Right.
So, you got to get a good guy with a gun to stop the bad guy with a gun. And the sooner that can happen, the better. So ideally, you've got more than one gun on our school campuses. Our schools should not be gun-free zones. That's absolutely the insanity that got my daughter killed and 16 others and hundreds of others right around the country. So we've got to stop that nonsense. But even in that environment, that good guy with a gun, let's say they're on campus, we want to reduce the amount of time it takes that good guy with a gun to get to the problem and get it eliminated. Yeah,
you had a similar situation like that in Georgia that you're aware of a couple years back, about a little bit over a year ago, in fact.
That's right.
And it occurred on an opposite end of the school. So you need more than one. It's almost got to be a perimeter thing, I think. But
you do because you've heard law enforcement say this, Mark. 2 is 1, 1 is none.
Sure.
that kind of mentality. What happened in that New York City office attack? That attacker went in and shot the security personnel down on the first floor and eliminated them, and then had free run of the building. So you never want just one. And particularly, I don't know. I'm guessing schools here in Texas are big. Everything's big here. But that campus at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, where my daughter went to school, was almost 50 acres.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
huge.
if you're trying to get from one end to the other, I mean, they use golf carts to get around. It took that SRO 1 minute and 30 seconds to get to my daughter's building. After which time she had already been killed. But then there's the whole story about him not going in, not stopping the attack, and not saving those that were on the 6th floor. But A minute 30 is too long. Every second counts.
Yeah, and just getting there isn't the issue. You've got to have somebody that's going to get there and go to the scene.
100%.
And clearly that was a massive failure. And that is a huge campus. In fact, I don't know of any school around that I've ever that's bigger than that. It's over 7, how many acres?
It was almost 50 acres.
50 acres completely. Some of those buildings were 7 acres apart.
Yeah, they're it's a massive campus. It's a huge problem. That's why I'm so glad we passed the Guardian law in Florida. So there are multiple armed individuals on every school campus in the state of Florida. Our schools are not soft targets. That doesn't mean they're 100%, that we're never going to have an attack or never going to have a problem or whatever. But it just means that the time it takes to eliminate a threat in Florida is reduced significantly because we've got multiple folks that are going to run to the threat.
Remind me again how many Parklands there have been since Parkland in Florida, since the Guardian program's been put in place?
We've had 0.
Okay, and that's likely going to stay that way. And you know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because what we're talking about now, this is what these schools got to start listening to. Now, the inner clock in me tells me, and you're sitting right there with Greg, so you get to hear everything. There you go. You get to hear it all, that we're getting ready to take a break, and we're 30 seconds away from that right now. When we come back, I want to ask you if what you're talking about, is it getting through to these school boards? Guys like me sit and look what's going on in Northern Virginia, and I've got some audio tape of a guy that goes to one in Maryland all the time, Mr. Porter, that I can't play because he just gets right in their face to the point it just would be nothing but one long beep. And he still can't get through to these lefties on these school boards. Some of these school boards, I don't know that they're fixable in their current state. And when we come back, Ryan, I want to ask you if, in fact, you're getting through to some of these people, or is it just like Chuck Schumer would agree to see you and just not pay any attention to you, let you have your say so he can say he met with the other side about this issue, and then you get up and walk out, and he just moves on to something else because he grandstanded. When we come back, Ryan Petty live in Dallas at the Salem Radio Network with our great producer, Greg. We'll be back with Ryan right after this. Guys, during the breaks, it would be nice if we could converse back and forth with Ryan during the breaks and give you some pretty good break sausage, if you will. But
We can kind of make that happen.
Yeah, that's too much work for you on that end because what has to happen there, guys, is Greg's got to move both mics the way they're potted up back and forth, and it's just asking him to do a lot, and it's kind of difficult to do. So maybe we can get some of that in at some point over the course of the next hour and 15 minutes. But if not, just know that Ryan is sitting in the studio with us down there in Dallas, and it's gonna make for a fun hour. It almost makes me feel safe knowing he's there, Greg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he's in the house with me.
Oh,
I do. I feel like he's sitting here with me now. He's been in this studio too, not for a live show.
Yeah, I remember that. No. I thought I remember he was on the air with you once, but that wasn't him. You've had a couple other people in studio before.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had somebody in the house with me. I had a reporter, Michael from the Epic Times, was here, spent 2.5 hours with me on Saturday, interviewing me for a feature story that they're doing on the Epic Times about my court case with OpenAI.
Oh,
and
right.
Michael was in the studio with me. Of course, I don't air on Saturdays, which is a good thing, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a while since we've had anybody. I think
it was Neil last time.
Here. Yeah, it was Neil. That's been a while.
Yep.
That's been a while. We've had Dr. Adine from Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership has been in here.
Yep.
I believe that's it, to be honest with you.
Now, you had another guest that you had sitting in with you, and I forget what his name was, but he wasn't on the air with you a lot, but he was just kind of hanging out, I think.
Well, that was Steve when we were broadcasting from the Cove, which is a ways up the road from me, but I don't remember. 17 years, I can't remember.
Yeah.
At this point, I can remember my kids' names and my wife's name.
And that's all that matters.
Pretty much. But yeah, Ryan, I know you can hear me. I feel safe knowing you're there, Ryan. Makes me feel comfy cozy. It's the next best thing to being in the house, brother. Except you're really in the house. Now, I used to have guests at the studio when we were broadcasting from AM 920 all the time. That was a lot of fun. In fact, it's been so long since I was broadcasting at that studio. I think the last guest I had in there was multi-platinum country recording artist Mark Wills. Big gun owner. Mark's a neighbor of mine. We've been good friends for many, many years, and trying to get him back on now. He's playing the Opry every Friday. He's touring. He's been so busy. Would love to bring him back. Mickey DeWine wants to know about, is Fratelli's better than Marion's?
30.
Mickey, I apologize for not. I just went back and looked at that. Let me tell you. Now, Armed American Radio admin said yes. That's coming from Greg because he's in Dallas. He's never had Marion's. Let me put it this way. Whichever one you're eating at the time is better than the other.
That's true.
That's how close those two are. Fratelli's is right there with Marion's, but if I had to, I would take Marion's.
Wrong answer.
No, but see, you haven't had it. We're going to have to work that out sometime.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day in front of the CZ USA Platinum and powerful microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. More about Patriot Mobile coming up in a few minutes. Attorneys on Retainer. Excuse me, guys. Took a big sip during the break of that sugar-free Red Bull. Coughing on it now. Never drink carbonated beverages, Ryan, when you're going on a live mic, but I break that rule all the time.
Or eat peanut butter.
Okay. He's going to kill me on that one. Yeah, Ryan ate a big old mouthful of peanut butter, went on air and almost choked live during the roundtable on that. I have to tell you, I knew you were okay, but I couldn't help but laugh it off. Anyways, business out of the way. Attorneys on Retainer, guys. Some of you are on the fence with this. I've seen some emails. Get off the fence. Okay? This is not an insurance program. It's not an umbrella policy. Okay? And those all have their place. I'm not speaking down about any of them. Okay? X Insurance, phenomenal company. These are attorneys. This is a self-defense law firm. The Freedoms, Attorneys for Freedom law firm. Attorneysonretainer.us. These are lawyers that specialize in one thing, keeping your butt out of the slammer if you get accused of a crime for simply defending yourself with your lawfully carried firearm. So make sure to visit them. Put this card in your wallet. It is $35 a month. And if you multiply that by 12, it is less than 1 hour of a decent attorney's or just regular hourly fee. And that's annual, guys, for $35 a month. That's $50 off the sign-up fee, which is normally $100, and it's $35 a month. And you've got a law firm behind you instantly. One phone call. 24/7, all 50 states. I had to use my gun to defend myself. I need your help. And they are there, right there. In confidence, right there, attorney-client privilege, $35 a month. And God forbid it goes any further. It's never more than that. You don't have to worry about mortgaging your house, pulling your kids out of school, financial ruin. $35 a month. Have these attorneys in your hip pocket, please. I do. My family does. Absolute no-brainer. Just get off the fence. When the show's over today, go and do it. I'm telling you, it's the best $35 you will ever spend. You can find them at attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR to take advantage of this and say thank you for supporting Armed American Radio. And the rest of our great partners you can find at armedamericanradio.com as well. Ryan Petty, welcome back. I say welcome back. Welcome in. You're kind of here with me, and it's kind of cool to have you here. The question I have for you, Ryan, is, is this getting through to people? When you talk to these, do you actually talk to the school boards, or do you talk to people about how to talk to the school boards? Tell us how this works.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I spent a fair bit of time talking to school boards, school board members. There's a contingent of school board members, mostly conservative, that want to hear about school safety. They're focused on things like academics, believe it or not. And they want to try to turn around public education And then of course, you got the contingent of folks from the left that believe, they look at schools as an opportunity to indoctrinate kids, right, into, quite frankly, Marxist ideology.
Yeah.
And they have been in control of American public education for decades. It wasn't until COVID that parents had an opportunity to see what was being taught in the classroom. And the reaction to that was how groups like Moms for Liberty got started, among others, right? There's 3 or 4 of these groups that run around now and work to do nothing but try to elect conservatives to school boards. And so there are days, Mark, I'm hopeful, to answer your direct question. Are we going to turn this around? Yeah, there's days I'm hopeful that the message will get through. There are other days where, quite frankly, I'm not, because the left will never stop. And the left wants to take away our firearms, and the left needs tragedy to push their agenda.
Well, if there's the great example of that is every tragedy. This is what they do. It's not a one-off issue. It happens every single time. And the playbook is already written because they're out there with their bullet points across the spectrum. And when I say across the spectrum, I'm talking every major media outlet. I'm talking about every left-wing organization. I'm talking about every single gun grabber group. They're all saying the same thing. So they do thrive on this, guys, and it's sad to say that, but it's true. This is a real job. You look at the Loudoun County. Let's face it. You talk about COVID. Loudoun County School Board in Northern Virginia became famous for its left-wing radicalism up there. Still in place, and you've got conservatives on that board, a handful of them, but there's not enough of them to make a decision. They might as well be a Republican in the state of California, Ryan. And trying to get somebody. Boards. Yeah, trying to put a conservative majority on those school boards is going to be near impossible to do. So I don't know how do you combat that? I don't have an answer for that other than to say we continue to beat it in, and you hope that you can get through to a certain percentage of voters, left or right, that will make the decision. The problem is, in the polarized, divisive times we live, they're never going to vote for a Republican, period. No matter what the issue is. Doesn't matter. They hate us.
What you have to do, look, every parent out there that can hear my voice, what you need to do is make sure you understand whether or not your child's going to be safe at school. That's number 1. Number 2, you got to understand what they're being taught. And number 3, if you don't like either of those things, pull them out and go find a school that will keep them safe, teach them the academics that they need to learn and the principles that you're comfortable
that's what you're
with
gonna
as
have
a
to
parent.
do.
That's the only way to fix it in my mind. Is you've got to do, and it's great being here in Texas. Texas just passed school choice, for the first time, right? And this has been a contentious issue, even amongst conservatives in Texas, because Texans love their independent school districts, right? They're the heart and soul of the town. Oftentimes, they're that's what you go do on Friday nights in Texas, right? You go to the football game. So, uphill battle in a state like Texas. Florida, conversely, we've had school choice since Jeb Bush was our governor years and years ago.
A long time ago.
And now any parent in Florida, if you don't like the school your child's in, you can take the dollars that would go to that public school and you can take it to any other educational institution you want to go to, private or charter or public or whatever, and you can get your kid into an environment that you like. And that's what it's going to take to get the public school districts to stop the insanity and start listening to parents. And that goes for everything from academics to keeping them safe.
Yeah, we'll carry this conversation on through the roundtable too, Ryan, but sadly, this is not going to change overnight. And with the divisiveness in the country today, with people, you're literally watching the country divorce before your eyes. Blue is blue, red is red. And, I'll tell you this right now, I wouldn't vote for a Democrat ever. Never. I wouldn't care what their individual positions were. As long as they're voting with the Democrats et al., he's never going to get my vote, or she's never going to get my vote, ever. And we're at a point now where there is no compromise at this point, period. And I'm not going to waste my vote on somebody that's going to vote with that caucus because of one particular issue. You got to look at the bigger picture here. This is like turning a battleship around when it's dead in the water. Okay, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm not going to pretend to have the answer here, other than vote continue to hammer them, continue to pressure them, but you've got to vote. Remember, these people are elected. They're elected. So they can be removed. Ryan Petty is going to sit in Dallas with us for another hour, staying with us on the round table. He's in the house. That's great. He's at Dallas with Greg at NOC, the Network Operations Center. Joining us will be Brad Primo. We call him Whiskey Brad on Twitter. And, of course, Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahr Arms here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. 6 minutes after the hour on the flip side. We'll be back. Don't go away. All right, guys, so this is interesting in the chat. Somebody reminded me, Greg, I can't believe we didn't remember this, but Pincus has been in the studio more than once over the years.
Not since I've been running the show.
Are you sure about that?
100% positive.
Boy, time gets away from me.
Last time it was Neil, and then there was when y'all were up here for GRPC and Lee was here, and
yeah, that was in studio there with you. Gottlieb's been in the studio with us. You had the Fratelli's Pizza come in that day. And there was a handful of us in there at that point. We had a couple people that were just there watching the show too. But and then we did that again with NRA when it was in town. I think that's been a total of 3 times over the years. But could it have been John Lott? I don't recall. No? I don't think it was.
All right, I got to give a tour for water and bio break before people start
do
calling.
That. Bio break on our end, guys. We'll see you at 6 minutes after. Listeners, we'll be back in about 3.5, 4 minutes. Brad Primo, CEO, Lead Slingers, former combat vet, former law enforcement, will be here, along with Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahr Arms. Of course, we're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. And Ryan Petty, Parkland Father, is sitting in the studios with Greg in Dallas. So he's kind of in the house with us. Kind of fun. If you guys watching the show, whether it's on X or any other platform, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, if there's a topic you want us to hit during the roundtable, feel free to type it in the comments. We'll see if we can get to it. Forbes wants to know where Paul is. No, we gave Paul the week off today because we had a full schedule with Cam for the hour. And Ryan being in Dallas, we wanted to give him some time. We did not know he was going to be physically in the studio with us, which is great.
Our gang's all here.
All right. Somebody said in the chat, I guess Ryan wins the call-in first award today, huh? Air Mike is
That
live
he
too, by
does.
the way. Mics are live. So did you get the tour?
I gave him the brief tour. I knew that Brad and Justin would be calling, so I had to get back in.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like when I was trying to get you guys back in the studio before the show open started playing.
Yeah, those 4-minute breaks go pretty quick. Ask Ryan if he has something he wanted to mention to me. I saw a little thing pop up that he had left me a voice message.
That was an accident.
All right, guys, we should be back with you in less than a minute. Final hour already, boys and girls. Buckle in. It moves quick.
Here we go. 30.
Cameras up.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, guys, or welcome back. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast on hundreds of radio stations around the nation and all of our social media platforms continues right now here in front of the CZ microphone at the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Patriot Mobile Ranch lit up for you with the on-air signs. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. And I want to point out, if you're watching, you can see this phone I'm holding up. That's an iPhone. I think it's a 15. I don't know, whatever model it is. But it is a Patriot Mobile activated phone. You can do the same thing. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Activate a phone, all of them, switch them over, business lines, internet, the whole 9 yards, whatever you want to do. Patriot Mobile's got you covered. You can do it one phone at a time. They also give you credit for up to $500 if you need to pay a phone off, which is what I did on my end. And boom, you get a $500 credit, plus you get 1 month free activation. or not 1 month free activation. Let me rephrase that. 1 month free. Okay, so you're not going to pay a phone bill for a while. The more phones you move over, the less your phone bill is going to be for a while because you're going to get that credit. PatriotMobile.com. Support the businesses that support you and support these conversations and actually fight and give money and donate to everybody we talk to and about here on this program every single day, 6 days a week. Patriot Mobile is the real deal. PatriotMobile.com. Give them a look. Go over there and check it out. It takes 20 minutes to swap a phone over. Stop giving your money away to woke companies, even though they're not acting woke right now. Trust me, they'll flip. They got no convictions. Patriot Mobile does. They wear it on their sleeves, just like I do. That's the Second Amendment, if you're watching, tattooed right there on my arm. Okay? They're the same way. It's tattooed in their corporate mission. So support them for supporting us and supporting you. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. We are on Facebook Live at Armed American Radio. You can watch us over there and comment and all that fun stuff. If you have something you want to hear us talk about, get in the comment section and let us know. If we can get to it and it looks good, we'll do that here on the roundtable. Greg, I'll let you take it away, and then we'll get cracking with the boys.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over at X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, if you get in that get in that chat over there at Telegram, you can see the photograph I put up of my new Marshall stack.
There you go.
Woo! Good heavens. If my neighbors didn't hate me before Friday, Greg, they certainly did after yesterday.
Yeah, they probably did.
You can hear me at the interstate, man, when I feel like it at this point. That's only a half stack, too, but that thing's good enough to light up an arena. Wait till I add the other 200-watt cabinet to that bad boy.
You could definitely blow out a dive bar with it.
Oh, man, good heavens, no doubt. Even if I sucked when I was playing, it wouldn't matter because all you'd hear is, yeah, really good stuff, really good stuff. But yeah, get in the chat and check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to follow us on social media, too. Twitter at AAR Mark, as Greg said. Get over there and help us take our social media back. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. It's real easy to do. Many thousands of you do. Please help us grow, okay? We need you to do that. You can join us over at Facebook. Like us. Over 80,000 plus of you do that already. Help us get back up over 100,000. That's our goal. We would appreciate that very much. It's real simple. Just share the post and make sure to check us out, again, at Twitter at AAR Mark, YouTube, Armed American Radio, Rumble, Armed American Radio. Hit subscribe. So when you get a new video out 6 days a week, you get it first before everybody. Of course, Ryan Petty wins the I'm There First award today because he's in the studio in Dallas with us. Ryan, welcome home, brother. Ta-da.
It's great to be here at Greg's Ranch in Dallas, Texas.
Wait, Greg.
Hold on.
Wait, hold on. You say that again, but before you play anything, let me get this because you're going to get a new drop. We're going to use this with Ryan. Ryan, say that again?
It's great to be here at Greg's Ranch in Dallas, Texas.
Greg has a ranch? There you go. So that's a drop for us. We'll play that from
Perfect.
time to time.
I'll pull that after the show.
Okay. Brad Primo, CEO of Lead Slingers, combat veteran, American hero, former law enforcement, and longtime contributor to the program. How you doing, brother? Welcome in.
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I hope you're doing as well, too. And Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. Of course, we're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. Justin, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to start off with you because we missed you last week, and I told everybody why, because you were so darn busy, and I know that because I've attended the events up there for a number of years. And I want to apologize for not being able to make it, but I was traveling that weekend. But I did get a video in, and I know people appreciated that, and I appreciate you for playing the video. The Rod of Iron Festival was held last week. I want to know everything about it. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, it ran really smooth. You know, we changed the venue this year because of issues with insurance, security, and the weather, and we are indoors. And so General Flynn came. We had all the January 6ers who Patriots there, and it was a phenomenal, event. And, the Jan 6 panel, which we had, went viral, and, it's got over 1 million views on it.
Wow.
So it was a very, very intense, weekend, and I was hoping to make it onto your program, but somehow I just got caught up with the Yeah.
It's okay. You got busy running a huge event for the weekend, and it's a great event, ladies and gentlemen. And I know we're a year out from it, but I'll be at the next one, I can promise you. Guys, check it out, Rod of Iron Festival. Great work, Justin. That's phenomenal to get that many views. I bet that was great. And Brad, I'm going to flip back to you because Ryan is sitting in the seat right now. So, I got to ask you about security stuff. You're former law enforcement, military. You've been in the, let's say you've been in the doo-doo, okay, to be FCC friendly. You've been there, surfed it. You have fought. You've bled. You've lost friends. And now Trump is back in office, rebuilding the military. The threats are coming at Trump now, Brad, are greater than they've ever been. And there's a report out today that a rifle hunting stand was found in the vicinity of Andrews with a line of sight. And Trump is now using the Biden mini stairs to get in and out of Air Force One quickly because of security threats. When you hear this with your background and knowing what's going on in the country and what the left, we've talked about it before, we all know the left wants us dead. They make no bones about that at this point. They hate us. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, first I have to give credit to the Secret Service for finding that hunting stand, or the FBI, whoever found it. Good catch, because if you kind of look and see where it was, it could have very easily been missed. And who knows, if the potential shooter was also watching that hunting stand for his moment to get up there. I mean, there's no telling how close we came to having, a possible national tragedy on our hands. We'll never know unless they actually catch the guy. But, it just kind of underlines, the president is under constant threat every day, every moment that he's out in public, he's under threat. That's just kind of a given, and that's how the Secret Service operates. President Trump especially, I mean, they've tried to kill him twice already.
That we know of, right.
Right. And the left has demonstrated that they have a bloodlust. They have no problem with using violence to accomplish what they want. Some of these protesters this past weekend even said as much. I mean, there's footage of one guy, saying that they need to start shooting ICE agents. Just it underlies the fact that the left actually is not against firearms. They're just against the people having firearms they don't like. So keep that in mind at all times, and that's what we're up against. I saw that story, and it kind of sent a chill up my spine, because I'll be honest with you, I fully expect it to be an honest-to-God attempt on the president's life, probably sometime in the next 6 months, if I had to guess.
I hate to hear you say that, but I can't disagree with you one way or another. I don't know that area around Andrews. I'm going to guess that there ain't no hunting stands allowed anywhere near that vicinity. That would be my guess from a security standpoint. So there's something stinks here, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that hunting stand was out in California, though, was it not? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, maybe it was. Was it? Could have been California. It could have been.
But if you look where it was, there's no legitimate purpose for a hunting stand to be where it was. I mean, it was basically in a median to a busy road next to an airport. Yeah. That's not where you don't hunt next to an airport.
All right, let me bone them. We're getting ready to take a break. Let me bone up on that location, so when we come back, I can clarify that. I may have misspoken on that, but I'll look at that during the break. When we come back, we'll go over to Ryan Petty. We're going to continue the roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. This is a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with the boys, Brad, Justin, and Ryan, sitting in the chair at the studio, Salem Radio Network in Dallas, with our great producer, Greg Lindemood. Armed American Radio's classic roundtable on the MonsterCast will continue right after this break. Buckle in, it flies by, it always does. We'll be back right after these messages. Yeah, guys, that was at Palm Beach. Both Brad and I were mistaken on that. I just automatically assumed when I read that it was Andrews. It's not. That was at Palm Beach. We'll ask Ryan Petty, who knows that area very well, what they're hunting down near Palm Beach International Airport.
Snipe. They're hunting snipe.
Snipe. Oh, my God. Haven't heard that in a while. Where did that come from? Remind me. What show was that?
Do you know, Ryan? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to throw that in old Google real quick.
Yeah. Let me know if you find it. Mine's just pulling up hunting sniper.
It's English lexicon. It's American folklore. It's just a rando joke, but I know it's been used in movies.
Yeah, it's been used in a couple of sitcoms, if I'm not mistaken.
30. Well, yeah, because.
But I probably am, because I just remember it's been a long time since I've heard that. Whatever. All right, we're back at you, boys and girls.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We need you in this fight. nra.org/AAR. It's that simple. You have to get engaged. We were talking with Cam Edwards in the first hour. A lot of problems up there in Virginia. Virginia appears poised to make a really big mistake in the governor's mansion. we're going to keep our fingers crossed. Some of the polls are coming across really close. National Rifle Association, of course, based in Virginia. This should be gun-friendly territory, ladies and gentlemen. We shouldn't be in this situation in Virginia at all, except it's the Northern Virginia wacko liberal area up there with Fairfax County, Loudoun, and the rest of it. It just is what it is. So how do you combat that? You join the National Rifle Association and you get your head in the fight. Get in the game. The pool's warm. Guys, you've got to get in. You cannot stand by while the nation is this divided and let this happen. The other side wants your guns, period. They've made that very clear. They also hate your guts. They've made that very clear. And many of them want you dead. They've made that clear. And we're talking about the highest levels of government. Their silence is deafening on this issue. And no other place as a better example than what's going on with Virginia and Jay Jones and the nonsense going on up there. Guys, you can fight for your gun rights by joining the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the National Rifle Association. Please do it. Save you $10, $35 a year for a one-year membership. Join. Let us send you the free range bag for the 1 year or 3-year membership, the 5-year or life membership. We're going to send you the binoculars. And then when it's all said and done, because we've got more, okay, one of you is going to win a huge range bag filled with all kinds of cool swag from our great partners. NRA.org/AAR. And one of those other great partners that I haven't mentioned yet is Patriots Relief. That stuff was a lifesaver for me this morning. I'm telling you what, the emu gel, all that stuff works for me. The CBD stuff, it works for me. It works for me every single day. And it will likely work for you too. Check it out, patriotsrelief.com. Use the promo code AAR and get about 40% off. They might even be giving more at this point, but make sure to check that out, patriotsrelief.com. And also don't forget MyPillow. Mike's been with us for a decade and a half. please support the businesses that support the show. And the promo code is just AAR everywhere. That includes Barrel Buddy, barrelbuddy.com, AAR, clean your guns the right way. We've got great partners, best group we've ever had. Please support them all. And you can find them all, including Bud's Gun Shop at armedamericanradio.com. They're available for you. Let's get back to the show. Ryan Petty, I want to jump over to you and make this mention here. Brad, both you and I were wrong. It was Palm Beach International Airport in Florida, Brad. So I apologize for mistaking that. It looks like both of us did. But Ryan, you know that area well in South Florida. Is there anybody hunting around Palm Beach International Airport? Does this make sense to you? I don't know the area well enough. Maybe there is. I don't know. Do you?
Well, I believe it's presidential candidate or president season down in Palm Beach County. I think that season opened up about this time, doesn't it?
It's horrible. The mere thought. But with a line of sight to that airport, it doesn't make sense to me. So you default to that. Something's wrong here, Ryan, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, absolutely. And I hope they can find additional evidence there. Take the stand down, take it to the crime lab, whatever they got to do. They got to figure out what's going on. There is no reason to have a hunting stand next to an airport within line of sight of the door of Air Force One.
Any airplane, for that matter, okay? Which is why this reeks. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. This stinks to high heaven, Justin. A hunting stand within the line of sight and within distance of any airport, not just Air Force One. That makes it even worse. Justin, does this ring normal to you that somebody put a stand up there without nefarious intent here? It doesn't make sense to me, brother. It just doesn't. Not in today's day and age. Sorry.
Well, we definitely want to know how long it's been there, whether it was put up recently or if it's been there for a long time. I mean, President Trump needs to look at his security staff and find people who he can really trust, because if you have a forward deployed security team go there and that they want to protect the president's life, then that's exactly what they'll do. Mm-hmm. They'll every position where the president is and scan for threats and try to identify sniper hides and locations. And if they just found it now, maybe you want to take the guy who found it and promote him, because the other guys in the Secret Service aren't doing their security job well.
And remind you, Justin, it was Palm Beach where we just had another sniper nest, down by the golf course, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, guys, this threat is real. And if you're like me, all I can ask you to do is trust that it works and pray for President Trump and his security and his safety every single day. We have to. It's pretty much that simple. Brad Primo, let's talk no kings, brother. So did you have fun at the protest this weekend?
If I had gone, I wouldn't have been able to stand up. I've been laughing so hard. I mean, how pointless can
you didn't paint your hair blue and wear a dinosaur outfit and show up and be proud to be around these people? I mean, all they got to do is look at the company they're keeping. Do they not even realize they're dealing with commies and Marxists, and all they are is useful idiots to the people that are funding this nonsense?
Well, I mean, if I wanted to hang out with a bunch of senior citizens, I'd go to the old folks' home.
Go to the villages, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was in Florida this past week, so I mean, maybe I could have. But yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of people wasting the last years of their life protesting something that doesn't even make any sense. It's it's like unfortunately, I'm going to talk about boomers a little bit. I mean, a lot of them are good people. I mean, my parents are that age, but at the same time, some of their peers are the most awful people this country's ever produced, and they won't give it up. They didn't outgrow this crap from back when they were 20. And most of us, when we were 20, were stupid. We do dumb things. We had stupid beliefs. You grow out of it. But these people never grew out of it because they grew up privileged and spoiled their whole lives, and they've robbed the country blind. And they wanted did all their drugs and all the partying, everything they did in the 20s, and they don't want any rules, they don't want any responsibility. They just never grew up, and here they are, spending the twilight of their lives basically throwing a temper tantrum because they realize that what they've spent their whole life promoting is crumbling and is about to be defeated and swept away and forgotten about. That's what's going on.
Yeah, yep. Just a bunch of old, aged-out hippies and a bunch of young morons, a bunch of those 20-year-olds, as Rush would call them, Ryan Petty, the young skulls full of mush. that are just out there protesting because they think that's what they got to do because they've been sold a bill of goods.
Look, the left has got, they're completely devoid of anything, of any, valid ideas. So all they have is to be against Trump, right? To be against, and this
It's not a winning strategy, brother.
The whole notion of Trump being a king, and they're running around all 30. They've been running around talking about how many people attended, 7 million and all this stuff. Look, over 80 million voted for Trump in the last election. That's when we decided we didn't want a king anymore. We didn't want the auto pen king. We didn't want the Biden administration king, and we didn't want the Democrats in control of everything. We settle things through elections. That's what happened. They lost. They're upset about it. And so all they're left with is the protest.
What they don't understand is we're just having a really good time watching them be losers. Hey, Ryan, you're down in the network. Close out this segment for us. Go ahead. Take it away. You're down there. You're a radio host. Do it.
We'll be right back after this.
Ryan Petty down in the network. He did it. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Ryan, that was great. Your mics are live on the net too, just to let you know. Ryan, we'll be back right after this. Beautiful. Well done. Got to get that no kings question over to Justin. It just dawned on me, Greg. I've got 3 guns here in the studio. I've got the 10 millimeter Glock. I've got the 1911, 45 caliber, and I've got the Glock 17 here. And the 4 guns. I've got the Kahr X9.
You got plenty.
I've been carrying that X9 since I got it. Man, is that thing nice.
30.
That's a shooter, bro.
I've never shot a car.
Oh man, the trigger on a car is, to me, is butter. It's unlike anything else. It's just very crisp. They've got that down. And I like a Glock trigger too. I like the trigger brake on a Glock, and the car is better. The brake on it's better.
I enjoy my SIG.
Nothing wrong with that. P365 is still one of the most popular guns out there. I'll tell you what, if I can convince anybody to put that X9 in their holster instead of that P365, I will do it every day.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Now, back to Mark Walters. We love Sebastian Gorka, and I'm going to tell you a cool Sebastian Gorka story here in just a second. Actually, we'll let our co-host in Dallas tell that story, Mr. Ryan Petty, in just a moment. But I'm going to ask you guys to please visit our partners, all of them, at armedamericanradio.com. I was telling Greg during the break, and I'm wrong, Greg. I said 3 guns, then it was 4. It's 4 guns now because I've also got a North American Arms.
They multiplied.
They multiplied. I had forgotten about that, but I've got a 1911 here with me. I've got a Glock 17 with me. I've got a Glock 20 in 10 millimeter with me, and I've got the North American Arms, and I've got the Kahr X9, which I have been carrying, Justin Moon, by the way, every day since I got that gun a couple weeks back, and it is wonderful. And if I can convince anybody to put their other carry guns away and go to that X9, you guys, you are going to absolutely love that thing. The trigger, if you've never squeezed the trigger on a car, you're really missing out. Whew. Welcome back in, guys, CZ Studios. We're going to have CZ rep over here, too, so it's going to be 6 guns in here in the very near future. Needless to say, the Armed American Radio studio is well defended. The most important thing for security that I have at the studio, guys, is a sign out in front of the studio, and I really have the sign there that says, this building is protected by a Shih Tzu. Shih Tzu is protected by my guns. So there you go. Ryan, I'll go back to you for just a second. You've met my Shih Tzu, little Huey. She's not going to hurt anybody. Ryan, back to you briefly for just a second. I have to ask one more question about the Palm Beach deal, just if you can clarify for me. It was just going in my mind. Was it Palm Beach where they found that goofball who was just convicted in Florida? Where was that?
No, it wasn't Palm Beach. It was near the Trump golf course there.
So it was near Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, and I think it was, yes, near Mar-a-Lago, close to it. But it's the Trump National course
Trump
there.
National, okay.
Yeah, and he was hanging out there. And I believe it was around October time. That's why I think maybe it's presidential season or something.
It's crazy stuff, man. It really is crazy stuff. Justin Moon, let me go over to you real quick here. Justin, I'm pretty sure, like I checked with Brad, I want to check. Did you put your Burger King outfit on and attend any of the No Kings rallies this weekend, Justin?
Well, since our king is still in office, I guess the No Kings rally didn't really actually do anything. But all jesting aside, we don't have any. We have a president. He's elected for a 4-year term. President Trump's not going to try to stay on longer than his legally entitled term. So we don't have to worry about that, Mark.
Why do you think? Because Justin, you and I have talked about this on and off air a lot of times. Our disdain for the mainstream media, the gaslighting, the lies, the BS, the nonsense. When you look out and see the radical left, and this is radical left stuff, what attracts? What you heard, Brad? You got that older boomer, the 60s protesters that just can't. I mean, they got to protest everything because that's what they did when they were idiots, and they just live like that. They just protest anything. Now their agitators are being paid. What draws the younger audience to this, do you think, that you would think would know better in today's day and age? Why?
Are you asking me or Brad?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you. I'd like to know what your thought is on that.
Well, in our society, there's 2 groups. Of course, the baby boomers basically are spoiled brat generation. They spent all of our money. They put us $37 trillion in debt, and they keep on trying to use the government to continue to pad their wallets. And then you've got this next generation which is coming up, and the bigger part of the generation sees that the baby boomers have really stuck them with a lot of debt, so they've become really conservative. But then there's this other part of the generation which sees that their future has been robbed by the boomer generation, and they're just mad. They can't get a job. They're overeducated. They can't get good employment, and so they basically want to destroy the whole society. And I think this is what makes up the woke left and the anarchist left and the communist left.
You know, that's why they hated Charlie Kirk. You just hit that right on the head. That's who Charlie Kirk was reaching or attempting to reach, and that's why they killed him for it. And I think that proof is in the pudding. You are right. They're marching towards this communist Marxist ideology for a lot of different reasons, and New York is getting ready to make one of the biggest mistakes they've ever made, and they make lots of mistakes in New York. The only people that are excited about that are Florida real estate agents. Brad Primo. Let's go to Don Lemon, okay? I hate to go to Don Lemon, but I got to go to Don Lemon because Don Lemon tells black, brown citizens to carry guns in case ICE shows up. Oh, go. I'm not even going to ask a question. Just go. You know where I'm going with this.
You know, I don't think journalists understand like how much people hate them now. And honestly, I don't think they hate them enough. I don't think they hate them enough because, you know, statements like that is just fear mongering. And, you know, it's going to end up, unfortunately, there are people out there that are easily led and easily affected by people they see on TV. And as if we have not seen this already enough, you know, it's saying things like that on a public forum, on TV, you know, as a quote-unquote journalist that unfortunately gives them some level of authority to people as far as, like, being a distributor of information, it's going to get somebody hurt or killed. And, you know, the irresponsibility being displayed by these people, it's like and by now they can't claim ignorance. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, oh, great point.
They know exactly what they're doing. You know, and you know, but they're not going to be held responsible. And that, to me, that's almost like the second tragedy in this is that, you know, we're sitting here watching this whole, all these threads starting to get pulled, and this whole leftist coup that's been torturing this country for years now is unraveling, and people are starting to get indicted. And, you know, I'm sitting there screaming, we need to start indicting some journalists along with them because they are willing co-conspirators this whole thing.
Oh, I'm agreeing.
Like Don Lemon and these other people, like, they need to be sitting in a cage as well.
You know, I've said this many times, and I will never back off of this, but when you've got lead editors, you've got people at the tops of these media outlets, Ryan, you and I have discussed it. We've talked about it on the air. We've talked about it personally. They know what they're doing. As far as I'm concerned, that's criminal activity. Now, I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm just telling you what I know on the surface. Let's take a listen, Ryan, to what Lemon had to say. Well, listen, I'll read it to you. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally. Legally. That's an operative word here. Get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? ICE is going after illegal criminal aliens, pedophiles, drug dealers, gang members, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, the rest of them. These are not American citizens, number one, being hauled off without due process. They shouldn't be here to begin with. We know that to be the case. And you can't get a gun legally if you're any of these people. Ryan, really no question for you. Just have at it. Take us to the break again. To the break, please.
Look, the entire premise of Don Lemon's argument is fallacious, right? He has, look, if you're here illegally, you can't obtain a firearm. And so,
yeah, there's that.
Number one. Number two, we're not taking American citizens, picking them up in the street and taking them out. So I'm left with thinking that his only purpose is to incite violence of some type, right? That's really all he's trying to do, because the left for decades has not made genuine, legitimate arguments. They've made these ridiculous comments like this. And of course, they're not inciting violence when they do it, but oh my gosh, if we do it on our side, if somebody on our side even mentions the potential of violence, of course, you know, we're accused of inciting violence and being anti-government and being Nazis and everything else. It's one-sided. It's ridiculous. The sooner we stop listening to people like Don Lemon, the better off we'll be as a country.
Yeah, and when we come back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, I want to combine what Ryan said and what Brad said with a follow-up question that I had that will work for both of their statements. When we come back from the break, we've got one more segment to go in the roundtable, classic roundtable underway. Buckle in. It's going to fly by. We'll be right back. I'll go to Justin with this question to tie him into this and then throw it back to the others on the Don Lemon question. The Don Lemon question. Podcast, by the way, was Left Hook. Okay.
Don Lemon sucks.
Don Lemon. Ladies and gentlemen, please visit all of our partners, would you please, at armedamericanradio.com. We have one more segment left, middle of the final break.
He's wore out.
This segment is brought to you by Attorney.
It is nap in.
Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Here's my card, guys. You've heard me talk about it each hour. Just do it. Attorneysonretainer.us. Promo code AAR. Take advantage of this. Best decision you've ever made in your life. Carry a gun? You want an attorney in your pocket. Attorneysonretainer.us. You are backed by the Attorneys for Freedom law firm. 100% self-defense. That's all they do. Visit their website, check out their videos on YouTube, and look at the work they've done with your own eyes. Listen to the lives they've helped. And imagine if you were on the other side of this and didn't have it, okay? Your life would be ruined simply for defending yourself. And if you live in particular areas around the country, you know how important it is. So just get off the fence, do it. It's $35 a month. You will sleep a hell of a lot better. All of my family members have it. You need it too. Attorneysonretainer.us. The promo code, of course, is AAR. I will be speaking at their event in February. Ryan Petty will be speaking, who was with us today in the studio. AWR Hawkins will be speaking. Alan Gottlieb will be there. Join and come on out to beautiful Chandler, Arizona in February. Great time of the year to visit out there. I can promise you that. And hang out with all of us. It's going to be a great time. Attorneysonretainer.us. All of our great partners, including Bud's Gun Shop, Barrel Buddy, all of them. Crossbreed holsters, all can be found right there at armedamericanradio.com. Justin, I'm going to start with you. I'll go back to this Don Lemon thing. And when we heard Brad and we heard Ryan close out, that you can only draw one logical conclusion here, okay? Justin, I have 3 quick questions for you. Can an illegal alien buy a gun in America legally?
No, they cannot.
All right.
Clearly.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Clearly he's inciting violence because ICE is doing everything in their constitutional right and authority to keep illegals out of our country and protect our borders. They're doing nothing wrong.
Can an illegal alien carry a gun legally in America, Justin?
No.
So that goes right back. You just answered my question for each of the other guys because all of you answered it. Brad, I'm going to guess you agree with me. And the reason I didn't ask you this before, and Ryan, this, and you, Justin, was because you've all drawn the exact same conclusion, I'm going to assume, Brad, that it is clear that Don Lemon knows exactly what he's doing. Is Don Lemon stupid enough to believe that it's American citizens? Is he stupid enough to believe that illegals can? Because that's who we're talking about here. That's who he's talking about. He just didn't frame it that way. It's clear. Brad, what do you do about it?
Well, I think that, what I've seen this out of more than just Don Lemon. Matter of fact, there's a pretty good post I saw on X from, a response to Tom Morello, who, I don't know if you know who he is now, he's a guitarist for Rage Against the Machine. He's a great guitarist that died in the World Commie. And, he was coming out, we're all these Second Amendment enthusiasts that, need their AR-15s for a tyrannical government. Why aren't they standing up to ICE? Basically that's his premise. And I've seen that premise, hurled a few times because, one, they're just bitter against us because they've not been able to defeat us. And we are the backbone of the right wing, and they know it, and they hate us. But the point being, or the response to that was, they're not treading on us. They're treading on people like Tom Morello, which I'm totally okay with, because the people like Tom Morello, the communists, that's the enemies of this country. They're the ones trying to tear this country down from the inside by importing, third world, pets, basically, to destroy Western culture, to destroy American culture, and reduce us into basically being Zimbabwe. And so the fact that the ICE is fighting against that, again, it is tearing at the fabric and pulling those threads, against their efforts to destroy the country. And Don Lemon's a part of that conspiracy. Tom Morello, all these celebrities that are saying this, Alec Baldwin probably is one of them. These politicians, they're totally, they're A-okay with turning the United States into Zimbabwe because they believe they're going to be above it all. We're all going to be their slaves. We're all going to be subject to their whims, and they think they're going to be the ruling class when they can turn this country into a third world hellhole. And so they're bitter against us, but they know what they're doing. And like I said, I think people like Don Lemon, put them in jail. Like, they need to go to jail. They're a part of this conspiracy. It's seditious. It's traitorous, and it can't be allowed to stand.
I'm glad you mentioned Tom. I don't care how good of a guitarist he is. I hate his music. He's an idiot as far as I'm concerned and a real dirtbag. And by the way, the name Rage Against the Machine, the rage is hate, ladies and gentlemen, and the machine is you, by the way. That's where that band gets its name. My kids knew when they were little, if it ever came on a radio, to turn that and Springsteen and a couple others off as well. That stuff doesn't get played around here. You couldn't pay me to listen to that dirtbag's music. Ryan Petty, again, almost a rhetorical question. You answered it before. But, the fact of the matter is, are we going to put somebody like Don Lemon in jail? The only thing that I'm trying to make the point here about is that it is very clear that Lemon knows exactly what he's doing. And Brad made it very clear in the last segment when he first started talking about this, when this subject came up, that Lemon has to know it's with everything going on, there's no way he can't know that what he is saying. So it leads me to believe it is absolutely 100% intentional. And as far as I'm concerned, Don Lemon is saying, hey, shoot ICE agents. Whether he's coming out and saying that, he is certainly insinuating that, and he's got to know that.
Look, the Marxist playbook here, Mark, as you probably understand, is they want a reaction from us, right? They want to incite violence and then have us react or respond. And that's the play here, Don Lemon. That's the part of the playbook Don Lemon's going after. The rest of these No Kings protests that were going on this week were all about convincing Americans, many of whom have not had a civics course taught to them in their entire public education career, to convince us that we should become a democracy and not a constitutional republic. The long play here is to downplay, dilute, if you will, the Constitution of the United States, get rid of things like the electoral college.
You've been traveling all day. I get it.
Yeah. The point of all of this is to get to a point where we give up our constitutional rights and we go for the majority vote. And once we've done that, we've become that democracy, a democracy that they believe, the left believes very much, that they can control. Because they control the media. So that's the goal. That's where they're headed with this, and that's why they try to confuse the average day American, that they say things like Chuck Schumer today on Twitter saying, we are a democracy. No, we're not, Chuck. We're a constitutional republic, and Americans need to remember that.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer, I don't even know what he knows anymore. Justin, I'm going to give you the final word here. I don't believe this ends up well. I really do not. And I go back to what you know, because you were on the show when Neil said it on the roundtable a couple years ago. If you can't even have dinner with him, Justin, how are you supposed to have a country with him? We're watching the left go absolutely bat guana crazy. Does this end well?
Well, you're right. The left has gone batshit crazy, but America's not going along. They're not getting that 30% of the population to swing their way and support their violence. Everybody sees their violence and is horrified by it.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. And Brad, thank you for being here, brother. Great insight, as always. Fan favorite for a reason. We got to witness it firsthand. Again, on a classic Armed American Radio roundtable. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. We love you. I'll be reaching out to you this week. I got a couple questions for you on that X9. I want to get your expert opinion. And Ryan Petty, of course, we'll talk with you in just a second. We'll keep the mic open for you because you're there in the network. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the program as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you for the last 3 hours. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right. Fun show, guys. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. So you got a little bit of sausage there in the last hour, and you got to hear Greg go to work with Justin. Got a little salty. It's beautiful stuff. It happens. People, it's guys, we take this stuff serious, and I know you do as well, too. And I want to thank the hundreds of you that were watching on X and all of you watching on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble. Please like, share, repost these posts. If you are not yet subscribed to Armed American Radio Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, please do that and never miss a live episode. Make sure, as we said, to engage with us on social media. We appreciate it very much. We've had a hard time over the years with social media, and we're in the process now. It's beginning to open up for us, but we need you guys to engage, and I would appreciate it if you would do that. Also, sponsorships. If somebody out there, you got a business, we've got a couple spots left here. If you're interested, okay, you can DM me over at Twitter. You can reach me on Facebook. All right, those are the two best places to get me. And then we'll work with you on that. And there's been some interest in those two slots. So if you want to jump in, rates are good. We'd love to have you. We got a great group of partners. And we're picky right now because we have such a great group of partners. But we'd be willing to work with you. In the meantime, stay safe. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever walked outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe out there, folks. It's dangerous. They hate your guts. Remember that. See you on the radio tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, will be here, and we'll see you on the radio. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it much. Have a great day.